Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the PC Elitists. My name is Woodsy.
My name is Shepard.
And this is our Sunday discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And that opening sounds so familiar.
Yeah, it
like
does.
2 videos back, it's like the same exact thing.
I know.
Oh well, we're gonna let it go. Anyway.
Hijacked.
I didn't...
I'm taking over this discussion.
No.
But I'm introducing the topic.
But hold on.
Okay.
Can we have a moment of silence?
Sure.
For your computer?
Oh. I'm experiencing some issues. Loading into my desktop and freezing. Basically can't play games for a while until I fix it.
So a moment of silence for Shepard's computer. Okay.
All right.
Time for some fun. What are we talking about?
I cannot remember where I first saw it, but there have been studies done. Another was one in 2004 and another one in 2010 about the demographics of gamers, particularly females.
Mm-hmm.
Them. Don't see too many of them
they
around.
Don't play
these.
games.
I know they never.
They pretend to.
The hot ones don't. The internet hot ones do. The ones who are only like a 5 or 6 in real life, but you put them on the internet and they're a 9.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But in real life, there are 2.
Yes. Women in gaming. Apparently, women make up anywhere from 40 to 46. I think it's like 42% of gamers now, particularly online games. And I know a lot of that does include social and mobile gaming. A lot of girls play Angry Birds.
Farmville.
Oh, Lord.
Doesn't that kind of inflate the numbers a little bit?
I think it certainly does, but whatever, in the realm of gaming,
right?
It's all important who's playing as a business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the angle I want to go at it today in terms of this emerging market, basically.
Right.
Where it's encroaching upon 50-50 because...
How many games about cooking can you make?
I knew you were going to do that.
Sorry, I had
that
to.
may appeal to our one subscriber in Saudi Arabia. Sorry for the culturally insensitive stereotype.
Oh my God.
So I text Woodsy about this statistic maybe a week or 2 ago, and just to get his thoughts on it. But I have a few questions I want to ask. And in our new kind of interview format where one person knows what they want to talk about, the other person hasn't really been prepped, I'm just going to kind of launch into it. So I'll do these one at a time because I don't want to ask them all at once. I think you kind of lose track of the weight of some of these questions. And so very broadly, I'll start out. Women as an emerging consumer base in gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Just off the top of your head, how do you see that affecting the games that will be made, if at all?
I honestly don't really expect it to change that much.
Is that because the women who are likely to game are not that much different from the guys who are likely to game? That they're kind of, as gamers, they're looking for the same sort of things?
I think that the games, you take into account, say Farmville. All joking aside, Farmville is a recreation of older games past, but then put into a format where it's like pay to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's free for a while, and then it costs more as you go, and it's a social game trying to get people on there. I think that's how it works. I've never actually played it, but from what I understand, a lot of those games are that way. They're just kind of recreations like Sim City, Sim Park, all that stuff. I think video games have been so broad, and PC games have been so broad, and now all this new stuff is just kind of recreations of those very broad appetites that men, women, they all kind of fit in whatever your style is.
I think as I was kind of pondering this topic and very lightly reading through some of the comments on this article, any discussion about how this could change gaming, you can't get to the end of that sentence without introducing stereotypes, because in order for you to think that games will be different, fundamentally what you're saying is women gamers are different, and that games and game companies will have to cater their products to adjust to this new market. And that relies on the assumption, as I said, that female gamers are in some way different in terms of their tastes. And I think we just, for the sake of discussion, we kind of have to move past that. Is it even worth asking these questions if they require stereotypes? How true are they? But in your opinion, your humble opinion,
right?
Do you, and this, I don't really speak from experience because I don't really know many female gamers, but do you imagine female gamers have different tastes?
Well, I mean, my girlfriend likes StarCraft.
That's true.
My brother's girlfriend, she likes StarCraft, and she plays on ladder
We played
daily.
We played WoW with her for a while. She was our healer.
Yeah,
If we could find her.
I don't think games. I think games have been very progressive in that type of way for a long time. You take a character like Samus Aran, which is probably my favorite female heroine in any game series from Metroid. I mean, most games now have options for gender. I really don't see what needs to be tweaked to accept this demographic. I think there's a lot of games that accommodate lots of personalities, which is really what you're accommodating.
I think we all know the greatest female heroine in gaming is from Portal.
Yeah, I'm going with Samus. My favorite is Samus Aran.
Fine.
I love Metroid series.
By the way, Lara Croft will not be an acceptable answer to that question of who your favorite hero is. Female hero. That actually is a great transition to my next question. I know you can when you create a character, you can make it male or female, so it's really just a matter of preference. I think one of the assumptions I made about a lot of people who played WoW and made female characters is if they weren't females themselves, which they may have wanted to make a male character for whatever reason, but for the guys who made like the sexy female blood elf,
Right.
I made certain assumptions about that guy, and I think they're probably true.
You can be
'Cause
almost
if-
100% sure
If you want,
if
yeah, go ahead.
that if there's a female avatar in a game, it was made by a woman or a man.
I think that's a very wise, sage words there. I think we know one person. He shall remain nameless, but he kind of lives here. Made himself a nice, cute blonde paladin. So basically, for several dozens of hours of gameplay, he could watch her ass move as she ran in Azeroth.
I gotta say that it drove me crazy that I played the same character in WoW for 6 years. Undead tank, warrior. That was my game. That's all I played, that character. And he suddenly got it up, wild hair. Because when they buff paladins, it'd be tanks. And he creates the female elf. So now, then he played more than me at the time, got all this great gear, and then when he'd raid, I had to watch him main tank and dance around in his little yellow glowy stuff and take these big hits, and I had to just stand there and run with ads. Which is actually the harder job, but
We won't get
that's
into
neither here nor there.
Anyway, where I was going with that is, aside from the game where you can create a male or female character, where a game in which the main character is already decided for you, and the gender plays a prominent role. So, for example, in something like Red Dead Redemption,
Right.
where you're John Marston, it's constantly you're reminded that you're the man. Be that through just physically seeing him all the time, or he's encountering a bunch of prostitutes,
Right.
Doing man things. If you play an RPG where the female is the front and center hero, how popular do you think that game would be? Do you think male gamers would have any objection to playing a female hero where it was obvious in both seeing her constantly and in the gameplay and the choices that she was female? And again, that begs the question, would the game be different for a female hero than for a male hero? And again, as I said, all of this, you can't get to the end of the sentence without introducing these stereotypes about how something would have
Like,
to be different.
does it matter?
Yeah, could you make Red Dead Redemption with a female? Maybe not, if in the 1800s it's believable that a woman could do the same things as a man.
Right.
Socially acceptable. But do you think that guys, particularly young guys, would have any kind of issue being a female hero? And if so, is that just something they need to shut up and get over it?
I don't think guys have any issue with having a female avatar,
Especially
or a character.
if she looks like Sheva Alomar from Resident Evil 5.
Absolutely not. No one
Nope.
cares.
Yes.
No one cares. I think that's just a given. The guys don't care. I think there was quite a bit of hubbub about what the female shepherd in Mass Effect 3 will look like, or which one will be on the box. Guys love that stuff. There's no issue with that. And you know what? If there's like the Red Dead Redemption example, that's just, you just need guys to write into the story. If it makes sense in that time that she would take some crap for being a woman doing what she's doing, you write that in, and
Like
it makes it realistic.
like a medieval game, a Joan of Arc type character, where there's another dynamic that a male character couldn't really employ, unless it was he's from this particular region,
right?
And he's persecuted.
You just, if you're a good writer, you build that biases in,
mm-hmm.
you know, and that's what all games are about, is overcoming these, you know, challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it's already built in for you socially,
mm-hmm.
go for it.
I have a final question, which is not something I think is... It's one of those questions that just kind of comes to you. And you don't really think there's a lot of validity to it in terms of how it'll actually play out.
Right.
But it just comes to you...
Which is most of your questions.
I know. It comes to you and it's an interesting thought. And I could give you some BS reason as to, at one time I was a psychology major and that's why this thought kind of came to me. But no, because this is something people commonly know. Men tend to think sequentially, step by step. We may be good multitaskers, but generally that's not how we think. Mm-hmm. We think in terms of, this task has 9 steps, A through I. I'm going to go through them in order and get this task done before moving on to the next one. Women tend to think more holistically,
right?
Tend to be better multitaskers, tend to be able to do things in a roundabout way. And the joke that I'll refer to, Dave Chappelle, when a man tells a story, it's who, what, where, when, why. I was at Bob, who was at Safeway, he said this, I punched him, and he broke out. Of course, I took out the racial epithets from that. But then as a woman tells a story, it's, well, you first have to understand, I just talked to my mother, and I was on my period. It's this kind of roundabout way of telling a story. Here's my question. Do you think the storytelling in games, right now it is sequential, it is linear, because that's kind of how you have to make a character-driven story?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that, and it may just be if females were to write stories, I don't know how many female writers there are in game development, but do you think that introducing more of them into the field would create a different type of storytelling? Do games fundamentally have to be this kind of sequential path? And are they that way because men are writing them, or is that just how games are? Or do you think that as a manifestation of the way men and women think and how that's a different process?
I think that...
Do you think you could see a more holistic approach to driving of a story in an RPG type game?
I think you see games that have a more scattered way of telling the story. Half-Life was one of the first games that really told the story in... It was a linear way, but it was told almost in the third person, if that's the right way I want to say it, where your character was rarely involved. You were just moving throughout the game, and you heard elements of the story. Mm-hmm. On a radio, these 2 soldiers talking, the doctor, like a conversation here and there, and you just pieced them together. And by the time you ended, you had the whole story. Nothing was often... Things weren't told to you. Or you never had a tree that said, what do I want to say? Mm-hmm. You know, a discussion wheel. None of that. You just moved through the game, and it was very, very just like smooth as butter. And by the end of the game, you had a great experience. I think a lot of games like The Witcher, I think they follow other media like books and TV and movies, that there's just a good way to present a story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. And I think those ways to tell a story are the heaviest hitters.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of video games get inspiration from TV and movies and how you tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you could ask the same thing. When women became screenwriters more often, did you see different ways of telling a story more often?
I saw The Hurt Locker, and it was very good.
Yeah, but the way it was it was
that
told.
relevant at all?
I don't know if there was a female screenwriter. Did she screenwrite it as well? I know she directed it.
No, she didn't screenwrite. It was the guy who embedded himself, who was then accused of stealing a man's life.
Okay.
Catherine Bigelow directed.
Okay, yeah. But that was a fantastic movie,
mm-hmm.
and it wasn't presented in any different way. I think it's the same thing. I think there's just these refined ways that you tell a story, and that carries over.
All right. For the record, I pretty much agree with you on all points. I don't think it will change much. I don't think it matters much. I don't think that I don't think you entertain female gamers any different than you do male gamers. I think they're just as passionate.
Personality types.
Yeah, if they're already playing games, welcome. As long as they are also willing to be PC elitists.
Right.
Come on in, ladies.
Yes. They're most likely playing on Macs. Just saying. Just saying. Anyway, my name is Woodsy.
My name is Shepard. We are the PC elitists, signing out.